We're back, and so is my gavel.
Just in time to render some judgments on tournaments, March, and what these two teams are going to do the rest of the season. Courts in session.
Welcome back to Courts in Session. I'm Sage Hurley, he's Ray Dunn, and there's less than 1 week till March, so we have a ton to talk about.
From looming conference tournaments and the big tournament next month to the Owls' remaining schedule, we've got you covered. We start with a road trip for the men to Memphis on Thursday night.
Ty Strickland and Damian Dunn put up pregame shots in Memphis, but only scored 10 combined by the final whistle. Instead, it was freshmen on the leaderboard for both teams. For the Tigers, it was Jalen Duran. There he is with the jam. Duran, who's no stranger to Broad Street, hailing from Roman Catholic High School, scored a game high and career high of 22 points. The Tigers have been an NCAA title contending team in the past, and their experience showed in this one. Temple Falls, 78-64.
The game at Memphis was the Owls' second road trip of the week. On Sunday, they put together their best opening half of the season and rode that success to a 75-71 win over Cincinnati. Temple jumped out to a 47-33 lead at the end of the first half and led by as much as 18. But the Bearcats came storming back and made this a game. Solid free throw shooting from Damian Dunn, Zach Hicks, and Ty Strickland in the final 30 seconds sealed the deal. Hicks led the Owls in scoring with 16 points off the bench in the win.
Let's talk injuries. Unavailable players have been one of Temple's foremost points of adversity this season. But hey, they're no stranger to a shorthanded win. Here's our latest injury report for the Owls. 3 of the 5 Temple starters from November are still not in the mix. But that's not all. The team announced Saturday that Quincy Adam McCoya has been suspended indefinitely for breaking team rules. As for Ty Strickland, he's dealt with a slew of injuries from his shoulder in 2020, his back in late December, early January, and now, even though he's playing pretty well, he's nursing an ankle injury, and that'll be something to keep an eye on in this final stretch of regular season play.
On the women's side, Owls in Houston on Wednesday night. Early on, it's all Cougars. Layla Blair gets the tough finish, one of her team-high 18 points. Temple plays Houston tough through the end of the half. Alexa Williamson gets the bucket there. A triple from Coranda Perea actually gives the Owls a brief lead. However, Houston heads into the break with the lead and runs away with it afterwards. They outscore the Owls by 16 points in the second half, winning the game 80-60.
It was a demoralizing day in McGonigal Hall versus UCF, maybe even worse than Wednesday night's loss to Houston. UCF has been firmly seated at first in the conference with just 3 losses this season. The NCAA has them ranked at 24th in the entire country, and against the Owls, it showed. Temple only scored 31 points on the day, and that isn't even half of UCF's 68. There wasn't much the Owls could do in this one, but their 21 turnovers, yes, 21 turnovers, didn't help. If you combine the 2 losses, UCF and Houston, the Owls have lost their last 2 games by a combined 57 points. I refuse to take part in any Mia Davis slander, but I will state the facts. Mia's stats have declined since her big game, and it showed most in the UCF loss, where she scored just 1 point. I think it would have been easy for Mia to enter the transfer portal and bring her high-caliber play to a more competitive team, but she chose to stay. and it's been tough to watch your team slowly lose signs of life.
As Sage knows firsthand, it's tough to carry the show. For Mia Davis, she's done that for the women's basketball team. There was a 10-game stretch where she scored 20-plus points in 8 of those games. That stretch included the Wichita State game where she broke the program's all-time scoring record. Yet in the last 4 games, she's averaged just 15 points a game, including that 1-point outing against UCF.
Despite those losses, Temple sits at 5th in the conference. If they can change their pace and put losses behind them, I can envision the team bouncing back just in time for the tournament.
Looking at the rest of the conference, Temple should still be in a good position to hold on to a first-round bye despite the loss to Houston. It looks like we may get a Temple-SMU trifecta. They play each other in the last 2 games of the regular season, both in Dallas. Then there's a decent chance that they'll be matched up in the quarterfinals of the AAC tournament, also down the road in Fort Worth.
Houston isn't budging, but they take on number 2 SMU on Sunday, so the Mustangs do have a chance to shake up the standings. As for Temple, the team has fluctuated between the 4 and 5 spot over the past few weeks, and if they can stay there, they'll secure that first round bye in the AAC tournament.
All this standings talk can only mean one thing. We are close to the madness. Quad 1 wins, Ken Palm rankings, and bracketology. Feed me the fun. March is on its way, and it's time to assess the Owls' chances of hearing their name on Selection Sunday. It will likely take a conference championship for both squads to get their bid. With just 15 days until the names are called out, let's take a look at what needs to be done to get an invite. It's a question so pressing that Sage and I couldn't do it justice by ourselves and needed to elicit a little help.
We called in for some basketball backup in the form of Owl Sports Update's Tanner Gilmartin. Tanner, what do you think the guys need to do to make a run in the AAC tournament?
Thank you, guys. I really need the guys to ease up on the three-point attempts because the perimeter, they average 30%. I need them to utilize the strength and the talent and score on the inside.
Ray, how about you? What do you think?
I'm looking at the free throw percentages. They need to make them. There was a 6-game stretch throughout conference play leading into that SMU game where they were shooting 60% from the free throw line. This is a team that's lived and died in close games this season, yet they are not good at converting at the free throw line. They are ranked last in the conference. If they can't get to the end of games and get their charity stripe attempts to go, they are going to struggle. They're going to lose games and they'll be out of that tournament rather quickly. Now on to the women. What are you two looking forward to in this month?
Like I said, Davis could have jumped ship, but she's always stayed steadfast in her commitment to Temple and the program, and I want to see her win some games as a reward for sticking with Temple in her final weeks as an Owl.
I need them to hold on to the ball, limit those turnovers, averaging 68 turnovers in their last 3 games. They suffered 24 turnovers against Houston and let Houston score 21 points from that. And the worst part is, Houston won by just 20 points.
I'm going to piggyback off of your point, Taryn. They need a better flowing offense in total. You mentioned the turnovers. That's just part of it. They do not share the ball well. Their assist-to-turnover ratio is the worst in the conference. When it comes to shooting from the outside, they don't do a good job. They are last in the conference at 3-point field goals and 3-point percentage. When you have a star forward like Mia Davis, you need to surround her with shooters, and they just haven't been able to do that this season.
Thanks for joining us, Tanner.
Thanks for having me.
The next time you see us, there'll be a good chance I'll have a wicked sunburn. But until then, basketball stops for no one. And when we're back from spring break, it'll finally be March. It won't be much of a break for the men. They have a tough slate ahead. The Green Wave on the 27th, then a formidable matchup against Houston on March 3rd. After that, they'll face the struggling bottom of the conference Bulls in their last regular season game. And as for the women, they'll celebrate Senior Day on Saturday against Tulane, then head to Dallas on Monday for a back-to-back SMU showdown. The Owls could very well end the regular season with a 4-game losing streak, but they might not lose any ground in the AAC standings.
From the hardwood to the studio, here's what's coming up for Owl Sports Update. We'll be back after break with our loaded week of content. However, the coverage doesn't stop, even when classes do. Stay tuned to all of our work on social media at Owl Sports Update all throughout spring break. I know I can't wait for our next show. I hope you enjoy your trip south for a much-deserved spring break and that you'll bring back some friends to talk about the AAC tournament.
Thanks, Ray. And before we go, I've been waiting all year to do this. I'm Sage Hurley. He's Ray Dunn. Court's adjourned. You want to take a go?